All right, that same prosecutor saying that Smollett paid two brothers to stage this attack. They even rehearsed it with a check, paid with a check, kind of like Jerry Springer. Pretty brilliant. Now, phone records show the actor called them before and immediately after the incident. Another brilliant move. And texts show the trio coordinating the alleged hoax. Other texts revealing that one of the brothers even sold designer drugs to Smollett. And police are now saying that Smollett likely scratched his own face to make the attack more believable. By the way, that kind of takes hating Trump psychosis to a whole new level. All occurring, of course, after Smollett allegedly sent himself a threatening racist letter containing a white powdery substance. Another genius move. We have forensics. Now, if this is all true, if this turns out to be true, nothing funny about it. Smollett wasted precious law enforcement resources in a city that has been racked with real violent crime for many, many years now. A city where young people and even women or children are shot. People are murdered every single week in Chicago, lots of them. It also appears that he used his celebrity status and race to smear and slander the people of Chicago, Trump supporters everywhere. And according to police, he did it for attention, sympathy, and because he was unhappy with his seven-figure salary. Now, the judge called these alleged actions despicable. The Chicago police superintendent, Eddie Johnson's his name, rightly outraged. This was one of the single most powerful press conferences I have ever watched. Take a look.
This announcement today recognizes that Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations? How could someone look at the hatred and suffering associated with that symbol and see an opportunity to manipulate that symbol to further his own public profile? Bogus police reports cause real harm. They do harm to every legitimate victim who's in need of support by police and investigators, as well as the citizens of this city.
That was a powerful press conference by the police superintendent. Now, it was just 1 week ago that Smollett went on Good Morning America for an interview with Robin Roberts. This is what he said to her. Let's take a look.
How can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth. And then it became a thing of like, oh, it's not necessarily that you don't believe that this is the truth. You don't even want to see the truth. It feels like if I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot more. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now. I respect too much the people who I am now one of those people who have been attacked in any way. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
Jussie Smollett is no longer speaking with the media, although there are reports tonight that he is back on the set of Empire. His lawyers stated that they are planning a, quote, aggressive defense, and they asked that their client be given the presumption of innocence. Even though Smollett didn't afford the same noble principle to Justice Kavanaugh, just a few months ago, he tweeted out, hashtag, oh, I believe Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, and much worse. Still on this show, in spite of these unfolding events, we recognize that being innocent, presumed innocent until proven guilty, is an inalienable right, even afforded to those with no principles. And in this particular case, the evidence is beginning to look overwhelming and incontrovertible. None of it good for Mr. Smollett. Now, I remember back a while ago, I said the same thing about Michael Avenatti. I'm sure doesn't agree with much of what I say. Remember his case? But that was a he said, she said. In the end, I kept saying I will give him the due process and presumption of innocence that he never gave Judge Kavanaugh. There were 3 separate investigations, and he got cleared. In other words, they cleared him of any wrongdoing. Now, despite the massive amount of evidence against the Empire actor, you have to assume he's an innocent man until convicted in a court of law. So that is standard for anybody. But tonight, this is about so much more than an overpaid, attention-seeking, wanting a raise, Trump-hating actor. The Smollett case represents Another example of what I have been saying since '07 and '08. Journalism in this country is dead. In case after case after case, the mainstream media, they devour, any story that just fits their radical, extreme extension of the Democratic Socialist Party agenda. If it advances the narrative that Donald Trump is evil and his supporters are bad and America is scary and racist and sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, the media mob will shift into full gear without performing any due diligence, without even picking up the telephone, without any kind of investigation, not even 5 minutes worth. Look at what they did to this 16-year-old Covington High School student, and of a 15-second blurb, they accused him of being a racist. They went out, they harassed him, accused him of assaulting a 65-year-old activist and getting in his face. They tried to ruin this kid's life. Slander, smearing, besmirching, character assassination. They accused Justice Kavanaugh of gang rape. Every other weekend, he and his friends were drugging teenage girls and literally, lining up in the hall for these gang rapes that nobody ever reported. And, of course, they tried to ruin his life, tried to call him an alcoholic. We know how that ended. He's now a Supreme Court justice. Remember, they falsely accused UVA students of rape. Remember the Duke lacrosse players? They accused them of rape. 80-some-odd professors at Duke bought the story hook, line, and sinker without any evidence. And it turns out I actually went to meet some of the family members, some of the kids, doing my own due diligence. Now, they falsely accused Darren Wilson. Remember him? He used to be a police officer. His career's over. George Zimmerman, everybody was saying he was guilty, but there was an eyewitness that showed up. Several police in Baltimore, everybody was assured they're going to get guilty pleas. None of them did. And guess what? As we speak, they're falsely accusing President Trump of Russia collusion. That, too, is a hoax, while simultaneously ignoring what is now a mountain of evidence of the single biggest abuse of power corruption scandal in history, where they tried to rig an election and then undo an election, a duly elected president of the United States. In the era of Trump, far-left hoaxes, way too common. The media, way too complicit. But they buy these stories again and again, hook, line, sinker, vilifying innocent people in the process over and over again. When the stories are exposed, when the lies are revealed, so-called journalists at so-called news organizations, they move on. They just pretend like it never happened. Well, like NBC News, they were talking all about this till this started happening. They were all over the Jussie Smollett story. Look, Hills, Joe Concha, monitored all of MSNBC Conspiracy TV's primetime shows. They totally ignored the charges against Smollett now. After they were pushing the hate crime narrative for weeks and weeks, they just act now like it never happened. NBC News, prominent Democrats, they employ the same tactic. Far-left presidential frontrunner Kamala Harris, just like Cory Booker, calling the Smollett incident a modern-day lynching. Today, after a meeting with the Reverend Al Sharpton, she totally ignored any questions about Smollett. Take a listen.
Senator, can you tell us something about Jussie Smollett?
Senator, can you comment on Smollett?
I think you can defense of Jussie Smollett too early.
How'd you feel to be in Harlem?
Reverend. Is this bad for the party? Mo, what do you think about Jussie Smollett? Did you jump to the smoking gun defense too early?
Comment on the Smollett case?
Now, Senator Harris has since put out a statement saying that she's sad, all while taking a veiled shot, of course, at President Trump. That never stops. Meanwhile, fake news CNN has just discovered something called due process. They're now urging all of us not to rush to judgment, which is a joke. This after running wild with speculation about the so-called Smollett attack. Interesting timing. Take a look.
This is a Jackie Robinson against homophobia in the black community, an icon, a beloved icon, and now you have the fall of an icon at a time when we need icons, when we need heroes, when we need people who stand up. So the level of betrayal, if this is true,
Yes.
is so deep. You can see it in your voice. You can see it in your face. It's almost hard to get the words out because of how beloved he has been. We still don't know everything. And I don't want to see us rush to judgment on this side, rush to judgment on that side, condemn this, condemn that. That's a part of the thing we've been talking about, is that we're now in this cycle where everybody's got to have an instant, complete opinion every 15 seconds. I don't want to do that.
Isn't that the same guy that said on election night, this is a white lash? Well, you should tell that to all of his colleagues who are constantly pushing fake news so long as it fits their hate Trump mob mentality media. Listen to radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh today. He summarized the state of the media pitch perfect. Take a look.
The left is nothing but phony hate crimes, phony alleged hate crimes, phony charges, made-up stories. They know these things probably aren't true, but they want them to be. And that's why they report them as true. They think this is what America is. In the mind of the American left, these crimes are happening everywhere. Even if the Smollett case isn't real, it's real elsewhere, and we must raise consciousness. The media is signing on to it. The celebrities are signing on. Presidential candidates are signing on to it and tweeting what a rotten place America is because of it.
Now, Rush is right. The mob's disgusting bias, it is obvious, both from what they obsess over and what they choose to sweep under the rug. For example, on Tuesday, pro-Trump activists recruiting students for the conservative group Turning Point USA was violently assaulted at UC Berkeley. Watch this.
I don't give you a you're a
You want to hit me? I'll shoot you.
and then that's not
Get the
that's not fair. I'm with you. Yeah. On this fight, I'm with you. Put your hands on me again. Racist.
Now, to be consistent and fair, we don't know what occurred before that video, but what we do know is that police are currently looking for the person you just saw throwing the punches, and the person that was punched will tonight tell his story. We'll reserve judgment. The individual assaulted will join us later in the show. We're looking for the truth. But you won't likely see him on Good Morning America getting a friendly interview from Robin Roberts or any other mainstream media outlet for that matter. This alleged assault, potential political hate crime, doesn't fit their narrative. Journalism dead and buried.